By mid-October, U.S. forces had had a presence on Guadalcanal for about 2 months. And they had had some heavy engagements with the Japanese at places like Alligator Creek and Edson's Ridge, also known as Bloody Ridge. And on the 13th and 14th of October, there was a massive Japanese bombardment of Henderson Field that completely wrecked it. And this was to mask a landing of between 3,000 and 4,000 Japanese forces. These Japanese forces were going to be circling around, and they were going to be making the largest assault of the Guadalcanal campaign on Henderson Field from the south. And emerging from this battle was going to be a name that would become legendary in the Marine Corps: John Basilone.
Sergeant John Basilone, I'm very happy to welcome you, the first enlisted Marine to receive the Congressional Medal of Honor, and we're very proud to have you in New York City. Tell me, Sergeant, are those tough?
Yes, they were tough, but Marines were tougher.
Marines are always tougher.
Yes, sir.
I see you got the Congressional Medal of Honor here.
Yes, sir.
The Congressional Medal of Honor is given only for duty above captain. Sergeant, can you tell us something about how you happened to get this medal? You must have mowed them down.
Yes, sir. I was in a good outfit with good men. I just happened to be there, and any man would have done the same in my place.
Spoken just like a Marine.
In the last episode, we introduced the Battle of Henderson Field, which included a massive assault by the Japanese 2nd Division under General Murayama on the defensive perimeter held by the 1st Battalion of the 7th Marine Regiment under Chesty Puller. The line held by 4 companies of Marines on the night of October 24th extended from the area around Bloody Ridge through the jungles to Coffin Corner. At around 10 p.m., the 1st Battalion of Soji's 230th Regiment, which had likely become detached from the right wing and drifted to the west, stumbled into the perimeter in front of Company A. Meanwhile, the left wing, which was made up of Nassau's 29th Regiment, was closing in on the Marine positions to the west of Company A. Leading the 3rd Battalion of the 29th Regiment was the 11th Company. At approximately 1 a.m. on the 25th, a majority of this company would be cut down along the barbed wire emplacements in front of Company A of the 7th Marines, who had been alerted by the war cry of one of the Japanese soldiers. Following the 11th Company was the 9th Company, which would sheer off to the left, placing them in front of Company C, which included John Basilone's machine gun section.
All right, right now we are making our way through the jungle, and right now we are pretty much following the exact path that the Japanese would have followed as they were pushing north towards old Chesty Puller and the 7th Marine Regiment in late October of 1942. And today we are going to be going to the exact spot where John Basilone performed actions that would lead to him being awarded the Medal of Honor. We got a storm that's rolling in, so we got to be pretty quick on this one. Oh boy. That's sounding a bit treacherous. All right, we got Stuart here. We met Stuart in the hotel last night, and he actually recognized both Dave and I from our YouTube channels, so he's out walking the ground with us today, and happened to find this tail fin from a US 81mm mortar. So yeah, all kinds of cool stuff here. Yep.
Well. Just watch that well.
Yeah. Well, we have made our way up to the position where Chesty Puller's Marines were in the Battle of Henderson Field. And as you can see, well, this is not an artillery strike that has tore this ground up. We've got a little bit of deforestation, a little bit of burning, and honestly, coming with that, some loss of the battlefield. So anyway, let me show you a few things here that tells us that we are on the right spot. So here you can see a pigtail that would have held, or would have had barbed wire strung on it. Let me go over here. Okay, here's another one. So this is going to help us kind of follow the line to where we need to go. Looks like here is another one. So Dave said that this is all completely different now from when he was here just not too long ago. So locals are cutting down the trees here in the jungle and burning this off, and are, I guess, going to repurpose it for farmland, something like that. You know, time marches on, and along with that at times we see some loss of the battlefield. Anyway, we're going to dodge in here. So you just imagine this all being jungle. It wouldn't have been wide open like this. We're going to go in and see if we can get a little closer to the Basilone position. All right, so we've been tromping around here, and Phil, what would we find?
Looks like a stripper clip for a Japanese or American 30 cal, essentially.
Huh.
Looks Japanese to me because of the indentation at the bottom where it's held into the clip. See there? See how it's indented?
Yeah.
Certainly the British rounds weren't indented like that. Not sure about the Americans, but the Japanese were certainly of that nature. That could be like a 7.7, maybe a 6.5. Yeah, right on position behind the wire.
All right, now since we have some clearing in the Basilone position, I wanted to step into the jungle here just to give you an idea of what this would have looked like for Basilone and the other Marines of the 7th Regiment who were guarding this position. So, as you can see, I mean, get down low to the ground here, your vision is limited to, I mean, even if I stand up, 30 yards at best. So we're going to have Dave talk about what happened with Basilone here in a second. And as he's telling the story, we found some of the foxholes here in this area. But as he's telling the story, this is kind of what you can envision in your mind, seeing what Basilone would have seen on the night of the attack. Okay, so I've stepped back out on the line now. And here, if you see, there's kind of a depression right here, depression right here. Well, we are looking at some foxholes on the Marine Corps line. Push up just a little bit here. And here are some more of these pigtails. Yeah. All right, so we're going to have Dave tell us a little bit about some of the actions of John Basilone here on the night of the Japanese attack.
So here we're standing very near the location of the John Basilone fighting positions. Unfortunately, the area is being cleared, so just like I did before, a few years ago we captured it, and now JD is capturing this. This time next year this may be gone. It's been cleared for garden, so this is a good time to actually record this. So on the night of 24th to 25th of October 1942, John Basilone, along with 13 other Marines, manned 4 heavy machine guns, water crew Brownings. They were in 2 bunkers about 30 yards apart. Basilone's gun, along with a 37 millimeter anti-tank gun, which is about 50 yards away, along with a number of riflemen on both sides, was guarding the Sector 3 trail. So it was a trail that actually ran north to south along Briggs Outpost. And Briggs Outpost is in that direction about 1,000 yards. If you've seen the movie or the Pacific series, HBO Pacific series, his family depicted Lieutenant Ralph or Platoon Sergeant Ralph Briggs. He's on his command post up in an outpost, and he gets on the field phone line to Chesty Puller, and he said that, you know, they're coming. He said, how many? The whole effing Jap army's coming in. He said, that many hang around to our left and coming through the army lines. So that was about 1,000 yards that way, and Basilone heard it. So the first Japanese came down the track, and also the Jeep Trail, which is a few hundred yards to my right, where Able Company, 1st Battalion, 7th Marines, occupied a position. So Basilone's guns rotated to the left and started engaging some Japanese to support A Company. And then in the period of probably about 20 or 30 minutes, a runner came over from his other bunker, which is only 30 yards away, and said, look, the bunker's been taken out. So Basilone grabbed the gun and 2 other guys, and they proceeded behind the bunker, and they had to go down a supply trail, which there were supply trails running behind these bunkers. He went down a supply trail, did a dog leg, come back. Between one bunker to the other bunker, they ran into about 6 or 7 Japanese. Basilone said we took care of them. Basilone made it to his other bunker. So here's an example of a bunker that's very near here. So say he had 2 bunkers. Bunker, that hole over there is first bunker Basilone, hole B. So Basilone was in a bunker like this. He ran out. They were a bit. This isn't 30 yards away. Imagine 30 yards away, say over there. He's ran out, engaged the Japanese, and come back in. So he's had a machine gun. He's met 2 of his men on both sides. The rest of them have already been evacuated, killed and wounded. One was firing at the Japanese with a rifle, screaming at him, and the other was firing too. So Basilone runs in, throws one gun beside the bunker. They said, what's wrong with the other gun? They said, it's busted. So he rolls into the other bunker, clears it, had a ruptured shell, so he clears it, comes back, loads his gun, and they kept firing back and forth. He'd roll between the guns and firing them. The Japanese were rushing in piecemeal, 20, 30, 40 at a time, rushing down the trail. He was firing at them. So it wasn't like a major rush of 200 guys or 300. It was just piecemeal through the night. So he maintained this pace through the night, along with a 37 millimeter and other Marines around him, stopping these Japanese from penetrating the vital trail and going to the airfield. Some point during the night, he was running low of ammunition. He told, by that stage, there was only 2 other Marines, the other ones had been wounded. He said, look, just stay here and I'll be back. So he went 150 yards to the rear, but this is what amazing about the Basilone's position. 150 yards to the rear was the supply point. To get there, because there's a lot of Japanese between him and there, because Japanese had been running past, some penetrating through. So he ran in front of the Marine lines, so the barbed wire line, you see the pigtails there. He ran in front of the Marine lines, down the line between the Japanese and the other Marines firing, and back into the Marine lines to get to the point. He's went and got a large box of ammunition, wooden box, and he's brought it back. He said when he get to the jungle clearings, he would push it through, and then when he would get to the jungle, he'd run with it. He didn't encounter any Japanese then. He came back to his post and loaded and kept firing it. He said about 30 minutes before dawn, he thought, well, they'll make one big rush, and they didn't. And that morning, about 8 o'clock, Puller walked around, looked at what he did, and says, nice work. That's all he said. So it was great words from Puller. And he kept walking away. Then later in that morning, they moved Basilone, the rest battalion, up on Edson Ridge, where they experienced no other fighting. So he experienced intense fighting for about 6 hours, off and on. There was a lot of guys with him. There was 2 guys in the hole with him, but on both sides there were numerous Marines. Basilone wasn't wounded, but he did say he was he had a lot of concussion, because the Japanese would get to the barbed wire line like here. They would throw sticks of dynamite over, and he also had homemade claymores trying to blast the wire. And he said it shook him up. And during the firing, Basilone had laid a .45 pistol beside him when he was firing. So he had a low-profile machine gun mount. So with the 1919, he could lower the heavy machine gun so he could fire in a prone position. You know, the movie depicts him, or the series depicts him running out and dragging bodies off or ordering his men. He didn't do that. He says in his own statement, he moved his gun around to establish a clear field of fire, which a professional machine gunner would do. So the Japanese, so you got Phil there. I'm in a bunker. Basilone said the Japanese, or the line was about 30 feet from him, and he could see about 20 feet on the other side. So this here, jungle would be on the other side. The Marines had a 4-foot high barbed wire line, about 6 foot wide, like an apron, just so the Japanese could hit and hang up on it. The Sector 3 trail was actually covered by a wooden gate, like a, trying to pronounce it in French, chevaux de frise or whatever. It's like the Civil War like that, and they had barbed wire on it. Chevaux de frise, there you go. And they would open it up every day, and the patrols would go out, and the outposts would come in on that route. So that's the Basilone area, and it's actually a great honor to actually stand on it. And unfortunately, I think this is probably one of the last times we see this place, because the locals are, well, it's modernization, so. Making gardens. But here it's a great depiction. So you've got the fighting hose, and you got the barbed wire line. And the barbed wire would run in zigzag like this. And what they would do, they'd leave barbed wire open at a certain stage, or they'd cut firing lanes into the jungle 75 to 100 yards to lure the Japanese in the path of least resistance. The machine guns could cut them down. So this is, I took a lot of years to find these areas, so I spent a lot of time in here. It's a lot easier today to walk in it, I'll grant it that. It's all swamp, so.
Now, for his actions here at Guadalcanal, John Basilone would be awarded the Medal of Honor. He would end up being pulled out of the Pacific and sent back to the U.S. on a war bond tour. This man was a huge celebrity in the States because he's a Medal of Honor recipient who survived. But after a while, he kind of got tired of that and requested to get back into combat. Went into a training command for a little bit, and then went back into combat at the Battle of Iwo Jima, where unfortunately he was killed in action. But anyway, that was a little bit from the area where John Basilone earned his Medal of Honor.